Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins season continues to be a roller coaster of highs, heartbreaks, and a constant battle against injuries that keep testing the team's depth and resilience. Coming off a commanding 34-10 win against the Atlanta Falcons, you'd think the vibes around South Beach would be nothing but electric. And to some extent, they are. The offense clicked, the defense held strong, and Tua Tagovailoa once again showed why he's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league. But as has become the theme for the Dolphins lately, good news rarely comes without bad. Once again, the injury bug has bitten hard, this time claiming cornerback Storm Duck for the remainder of the season. And while Tua's mysterious eye issue raised some eyebrows on Sunday morning, head coach Mike McDaniel doesn't seem concerned in the slightest. Still, it all leaves Miami fans wondering, how much more can this team take before the next man up just isn't enough? Let's start with the headline that no fan ever wants to hear. Dolphins lose another player for the year. Storm Duck's season-ending knee injury came late in the fourth quarter against Atlanta, during what should have been a routine coverage play. As he tracked wide receiver Kaderil Hodge, Duck's right knee buckled without any major contact. The kind of non-contact injury that sends chills down the spine of any athlete, coach, or fan watching. Before Kirk Cousins even released the ball to tight end Kyle Pitts, Duck was already down, the cart was on its way, and you could feel the air leave the stadium. Just brutal. McDaniel confirmed on Monday that Duck's season is officially over, a frustrating end to what had started as one of the most promising chapters in the young corner's career. Storm Duck's journey this year was supposed to be one of redemption and breakout potential. He had shined in training camp, turning heads with his agility, sharp instincts, and ability to read opposing quarterbacks like a seasoned vet. He earned the starting job for Week 1 against the Indianapolis Colts, not an easy feat in a secondary that's always stacked with talent. But in that very opener, the injury bug struck early. An ankle injury sidelined him for 6 straight games, delaying his chance to prove himself. When he finally returned against Atlanta, fans hoped this would be the turning point, the comeback story. Instead, it became the moment his season came to a halt. Football is cruel that way. It gives you hope, then takes it in an instant. With Duck now out for the season, the Dolphins are once again scrambling to patch together their secondary. They could elevate one of the 2 practice squad cornerbacks, Isaiah Johnson or Kendall Sheffield. Sheffield already has some experience under his belt this season, having been elevated for the past 2 games, so he might have the inside track. But neither option has the proven upside Duck showed during camp. For a defense that thrives on aggressive coverage and complex schemes, losing another starter means McDaniel and defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver will have to get creative and fast. Now let's talk about the other headline everyone's been buzzing about, Tua Tagovailoa's eye. If you saw him during Sunday's game, you probably noticed something different, the visor. It wasn't just a fashion statement, it was a necessity. Tua woke up on Sunday morning with a swollen left eye, a random flare-up that could have easily thrown off his rhythm or even kept him out of the game. But not Tua. The man suited up, threw on the visor, and went out there like it was business as usual. And if you ask McDaniel, it barely registered as a concern. It was a blip on my radar, McDaniel said during his Monday press conference, brushing off the issue with his usual mix of humor and calm confidence. I guess it was an eye issue, I'd call it. What does that mean? He has a built-in Halloween costume, for sure. Outside of that, it's not really on my radar. He'll throw with his left hand, I know that much. That's vintage McDaniel. Casual, witty, and unbothered by chaos. You can tell he knows his quarterback. And honestly, Tua backed that confidence up. Tua played like nothing was wrong. He completed passes with precision, kept the offense in rhythm, and even had the swagger to laugh about it afterward. When asked about the visor, he said his teammates told him it looked swaggy, and he might even wear it again Thursday night against the Baltimore Ravens. Only Tua could turn a swollen eye into a fashion trend. But under the humor lies something deeper, toughness. For a player who's been questioned about durability since entering the league, this moment showed that he's matured into the kind of leader who doesn't let anything derail his focus. Still, while Tua's eye might not be a concern, the Dolphins' growing list of injuries definitely is. Safety Minkah Fitzpatrick gave fans a scare in the fourth quarter after hurting his thumb, though McDaniel said he could have returned if the game hadn't already been decided. That's good news, but it's one more reminder of how fragile the Dolphins' defensive depth is right now. As if that wasn't enough, fellow safety Ashton Davis went down early in the game with a quad injury during punt coverage and never returned. His status for Thursday's short week matchup against Baltimore is uncertain, which puts the secondary in an even tougher spot. McDaniel labeled Davis as day-to-day, along with wide receiver D. Eskridge, who's nursing a shoulder issue. Short weeks are notoriously brutal for recovery, and the Dolphins don't have the luxury of time right now. Every name added to the injury report feels heavier when you're about to face one of the league's most explosive offenses. Baltimore's Lamar Jackson has been on fire, and a banged-up secondary is the last thing Miami needs heading into that matchup. Then there's the situation with the injured reserve and physically unable to perform lists, and unfortunately, it's business as usual there, too. No changes, no returns, and no real updates. Kicker Jason Sanders and 4 offensive linemen, James Daniels, Austin Jackson, Andrew Meyer, and Liam Eichenberg, remain out. That's a massive chunk of the team's protection and consistency on the offensive line, and there's still no timetable for their return. Daniels and Jackson both went down in the season opener, while Meyer and Eichenberg haven't played a single snap this year. The longer that list stays intact, the more it limits what McDaniel can do offensively, especially in the running game. It's wild to think how much this Dolphins team has had to overcome already. Injuries have piled up at nearly every position group, yet they've continued to find ways to win and stay competitive in a loaded AFC. But there's a breaking point for every team, and Miami is flirting with theirs. Losing Duck hurts not just on the field, but emotionally, too. He was one of those players everyone was rooting for, a guy who worked his way up, earned his spot, and was ready to make his mark. You could see the disappointment on his teammates' faces as he was carted off. In a locker room that preaches family and resilience, that kind of moment leaves a mark. The focus now shifts to Baltimore. Another primetime test, another chance for Tua and company to show they're still one of the AFC's elite teams, even with half the roster in the training room. The eye jokes will continue, sure. Tua's built-in Halloween costume will probably be a running theme all week, but beneath the humor, there's a sense of urgency. Every snap matters. Every rep in practice counts. McDaniel's job now is to keep this team locked in, to make sure the mounting injuries don't become an excuse. Miami's depth will be tested yet again. The replacements for Duck, the rotation at safety, the offensive line shuffles, all of it will define how this team navigates the next few weeks. And while fans might be frustrated seeing another promising season clouded by injuries, there's still reason to believe. Because despite everything, the Dolphins have shown something rare. They fight. They adapt. They don't panic. McDaniel's easygoing attitude isn't just for show. It's part of the culture. The next man up mentality isn't just a slogan. It's the identity. So yeah, the Dolphins lose another player for the year. Yeah, the injury list keeps growing. And yeah, the AFC fans probably won't like the stats about how often Miami's defense has been forced to reshuffle its lineup. But here's the thing, they keep winning. They keep finding ways to get it done. And as long as Tua keeps slinging the ball, visor or not, as long as McDaniel keeps smiling through the chaos, and as long as this locker room stays together, the Dolphins aren't going anywhere. They're bruised, they're battered, but they're still dangerous. That's the story of this team right now. A team defined not by who's injured, but by who's still standing. A team that refuses to break, even when the hits just keep coming. And as Thursday night approaches, all eyes, swollen or not, will be on Miami to see how they respond once again. Because if there's one thing we've learned about this squad, it's that when adversity hits, they don't flinch. They fight. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? There are moments in sports that don't just make headlines, they make history. And what Tua Tagovailoa said this week, that might just be one of those moments. We're talking about a guy who has been doubted, analyzed, and sometimes even written off since the moment he entered the NFL. But now, the Miami Dolphins quarterback is not just playing his best football, he's talking his best game too. For years, people have questioned his durability, his arm strength, and even his leadership. But in a moment of rare honesty, Tua decided to drop a truth bomb that has the entire league buzzing. And trust me, When you hear what he said, you'll understand why everyone, from fans to analysts to rival players, can't stop talking about it. It all started after another electric Dolphins win, a performance that solidified Miami as one of the top contenders in the league this season. Reporters crowded around Tua, expecting the same polite, soft-spoken answers he's known for. But not this time. This time, Tua was done with the fake narratives, done with the quiet humility that people often mistake for weakness. He leaned into the mic, looked the cameras straight on, and said something that instantly changed the energy in the room. People have been doubting me my whole career. But I'll tell you this, the Dolphins are coming. We're not here to prove anyone wrong anymore. We're here to take what's ours. Boom. Just like that, the internet exploded. Now, let's be real. That kind of statement doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from a guy who's been through hell and back. Tua's journey in the NFL hasn't been easy. The concussions, the endless speculation about whether he could stay healthy, the whispers that maybe Miami should move on and find another quarterback. At one point, it almost felt like the world wanted to see him fail. But something has changed this season. You can see it in his body language, in the confidence with which he throws, in the way his teammates rally around him. This isn't the same Tua from a year or two ago. This is a Tua who knows he belongs, and who's finally saying it out loud. And let's not ignore the reality. The Dolphins look like a team that could actually go all the way. The chemistry between Tua and Tyreek Hill is on another level. Hill is having an MVP-caliber season, constantly torching defenses, and it all starts with Tua's precision and timing. When those two are in sync, it feels almost unfair for the defense. Add Jalen Waddle into the mix, plus a running game that's suddenly one of the most explosive in the league, and you've got an offense that can strike faster than any other in the NFL. It's speed, creativity, and confidence, all tied together by the calm leadership of number one under center. But here's where it gets even more interesting. That quote from Tua, "We're not here to prove anyone wrong anymore. We're here to take what's ours." It wasn't just a bold soundbite. It was a message to every critic who said he couldn't be a franchise quarterback, a message to every rival who thought Miami was just a fun regular season team, and maybe, just maybe, a message to his own locker room, that this is their year. There's something special about the way he said it, almost like he knows something the rest of the league doesn't. And judging by the way the Dolphins have been playing lately, maybe he's right. Remember last season, when people said Tua couldn't handle pressure? That he was too fragile, too inconsistent, or too dependent on his receivers? Well, fast forward to now, and those same critics are scrambling for excuses. His pocket awareness has improved drastically. His decision-making is sharper than ever. He's reading defenses with surgical precision and delivering passes with pinpoint accuracy. He's no longer just managing the game. He's controlling it. You can see it in the way opposing defenses hesitate, unsure if they should blitz or drop back, because Tua keeps finding the perfect answer. That's the mark of a quarterback who has arrived. But maybe the biggest difference this season isn't physical, it's mental. Tua's confidence is radiating in a way we haven't seen before. You can tell he's stopped caring about the noise, about the endless debates on sports talk shows, about whether he's elite or not. He's just playing, and that freedom is dangerous for anyone standing in the Dolphins' way. When asked if he feels like one of the top quarterbacks in the league, he didn't hesitate. "I know who I am. I know what I bring to this team. And I know we can win it all." That's not arrogance. That's belief. And belief is contagious. Inside the Dolphins' locker room, sources say the vibe is different this year. There's a quiet confidence, a sense that this isn't just another good team, it's the team. Head coach Mike McDaniel has created a culture where individuality meets discipline, where creativity meets accountability. Players describe practices as intense but fun, fast but focused. And you can see it translating on the field. The Dolphins are playing with joy, but also with purpose. They're not just trying to outscore you, they're trying to outsmart you. Every motion, every formation, every play call seems to have layers of deception built into it. And when you have a quarterback like Tua executing that system to perfection, you start to understand why people are whispering about Miami as a legitimate Super Bowl threat. Now, of course, it's easy to get caught up in the hype. Every year, there's a hot team that looks unstoppable early on. But this feels different. This isn't just about stats or flashy highlights. It's about maturity. The Dolphins have been building to this point. They've been through adversity, through heartbreak, through doubt. And now, it feels like everything is clicking at once. The defense is stepping up, the offense is firing on all cylinders, and the leadership from Tua is tying it all together. You can sense that they're not satisfied with just making the playoffs anymore. They want the whole thing. And that's what makes Tua's recent comments so powerful. It's not just talk. It's conviction. You can hear it in his tone. This isn't a guy trying to convince people. It's a guy declaring something he already knows. And that kind of mindset can shift an entire organization. Because when your quarterback believes, truly believes, that you're destined for greatness, everyone else starts to believe too. From the offensive line protecting him, to the receivers running those deep routes, to the defense fighting for every stop. It all starts with belief. And right now, the Dolphins have it in abundance. Of course, not everyone in the league is thrilled about Tua's newfound confidence. Some players have already taken subtle jabs, saying things like, "Let's see how they look in December," or "It's easy to talk when things are going well." But that's just noise. Every great team has to deal with doubters. Every great player has to face the backlash of speaking their truth. What matters is how Tua and the Dolphins respond when adversity hits. And judging by what we've seen so far, they're ready for whatever comes their way. If there's one thing history has taught us, it's that championship teams always have a defining moment. That one spark that turns belief into destiny. Maybe Tua's statement was that spark. Maybe that's the moment Miami stopped being a nice story and started becoming a real threat. Because make no mistake, when Tua speaks now, people listen. And when he plays, defenses panic. The combination of confidence and performance is lethal, and it's spreading fast across the NFL. You can feel the shift happening. The Dolphins are no longer underdogs. They're contenders. And the scary part? They're just getting started. So here we are. A quarterback who refused to stay silent. A team that's tired of being underestimated. And a fan base that's starting to dream big again. The Miami Dolphins have a message for the rest of the NFL, and it's loud and clear. They're not chasing respect anymore. They're chasing a title. And if Tua Tagovailoa's words are any indication, they might just catch it. Because when belief meets preparation, when confidence meets chemistry, when a leader finally finds his voice, magic happens. And right now, down in Miami, you can feel that magic building. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.